Hello, it's time for another week in review. And today, what is that? Oh god, that's the book wall. So today we're going to talk about what I read this past week, what I received this past week, and what I'm getting rid of out of what I've read. So basically, once I read a book, I can get rid of it. And I don't get rid of all the books I read, but there's a lot. And also what I watched. So there's that, because that's the first thing we're talking about is a movie. So I did watch Highway. This came out in 2002. This is a rewatch. Highway is my favorite movie. I don't know if it's not, I don't know. I love Highway really desperately. And I think a lot of that love comes from Jake Gyllenhaal's character. And I think that's really all it is. Basically, Highway is the story of these three misanthropic Gen X youths in 1994. And Jared Leto's character. Yes, my favorite movie has Jared Leto in it. It's the worst thing in the world. Jared Leto's character is in trouble because he basically has been sleeping with like this very mafia-esque man's wife, and this guy is gonna send his people after him. They're gonna break his feet. So him and Pilot, Jake Gyllenhaal's character, decide they're gonna go somewhere else. And Pilot's like, let's go to Seattle. It's 1994. So Kurt Cobain also just died, which they do learn about halfway through this book, this movie. And the reason why Pilot wants to go to Seattle is because when they graduated high school, and you could say they're probably 21-ish, 22-ish now. No, wait, 2 years would be 20, I suppose. I don't know, either way. But they go and they sit in bar. I don't know. They're in their early 20s when they were graduating high school. On the very last day, at like this rage all night party, Pilot had a very meaningful experience with this girl who he now knows is in Seattle. And so they do that. Along the way, they pick up an ex-stripper, and they're with her. They kind of learn about themselves. They learn about their friendship, their relationship, because Pilot and Jack, that's his name, Pilot and Jack's characters have been friends since they were like 5 years old, and they have always just been just the two of them. And you can tell that there's kind of a very Jack is in charge, Pilot just kind of follows along behind him kind of vibe between the two of them. But no, it's a great movie. I love it. I love it a lot. There's not really much of a story, honestly, if you think about it strictly like that. But it's all vibes, man. It's all vibes. After that, the first book I read this past week was Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard. And this is my first time reading this book, and it was better than I was expecting it to be. So Red Queen is one of those YA dystopians that came out in the wake of the Hunger Games. This one is kind of has fantasy vibes. Like, people talk about this like it's a fantasy series, but it's very much a dystopian. Basically, we follow this world where at this point, there are kind of two classes of citizens. There are the Silvers and the Reds. And so the Silvers have silver blood, and they also have magic powers. The Reds are just regular people. Our main character is this girl who is red, but then she finds out that she has powers like a Silver. And it's the Silvers trying to cover this up. She falls in love with some princes. A lot goes on, and it was, like I said, honestly, it was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. It's a perfectly serviceable YA dystopian fantasy. It's nowhere near the good of like the Hunger Games, but it's much better than, say, Divergent. And I would actually say it's better than Throne of Glass. So if you want to go dystopian or fantasy, I'd say it's in the top echelon. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I don't know when I will be continuing this series, if I do at all. I don't have any of the sequels in the book wall, and I'm really trying to not buy shit right now. So we'll see, but I did give it 4 out of 5 stars. After that, I read a volume of manga, and that is the second volume of Future Diary by Sake Esuno, which is a manga series that is based on the concept that we've got this main character who writes everything down in his phone as like a diary, everything that happens around him. And in this world, we have suddenly got this competition that's going on where I believe there are 12 people. I think there were 12. I don't remember. I'm pretty sure there were 12. There are 12 people, all of whom were writing these diaries, and now their diary tells the future. And they need to fight and kill each other until there's only one left. And then you can also like kill them by destroying their diary. And so this one we kind of move on. We get into some of the culty stuff. The culty stuff is really fun. When I was in high school and after high school, I think I've watched this anime series about 3 times. I love the anime. And the manga and the anime seem very similar. It has some of the issues of the time, and I guarantee you've seen this girl before if you are in any way involved in any kind of anime thing or manga thing ever. She did get kind of memed out of proportion, but it's a very dark story. It's a very interesting story. I just know that when we get to the love diary, I'm gonna bawl my fucking eyes out. I saw I in here as like an acolyte because she was kind of playing a couple of sides, and I was just, it did something. It did something to me, and I was like, oh my gosh, here she is, and oh my gosh. I give it 5 out of 5 stars. I am so excited to continue on. Unfortunately, this is at this point, this is my expensive manga series that I'm purchasing. I've got the first 4 volumes, but after that, I'm gonna have to start buying more again. So there's that. All right. After that, I read Maximum Ride, The Angel Experiment by James Patterson. And so this is a book that when I was in middle or high school, I definitely started reading, but I don't think I ever finished. Maximum Ride was huge, 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 huge back in the day. I was a little bit young for it because this first book came out in 2005, so I was 8. So I was not really starting to get into it until I was maybe 11 or 12, and maybe 13. And so at that point, it had a lot of fans. I was never all that into it. I know it felt a little, I don't know, it just feels, there's something like off. There's something missing from the Maximum Ride books. And I felt that again as I was rereading the first part as an adult. Like I said, I never finished it as a kid. Now I have. It's fine. One thing that is nice about this is a young adult series, I suppose, but it does have a lot of the stuff of that early 2000s young adult, where you can definitely give it to a middle schooler or a 5th grader. There's none of the language or anything like that, which is nice. But no, I have no feelings towards this book. I really don't. I know people really, really freaked out about Fang was a big book boyfriend back in 2005. You know, everybody loved him. I give this 2 out of 5 stars. I don't know. Then I read a thriller. And that is a Riley Sager. It's one of my book of the months. I read Middle of the Night by Riley Sager. This is a monumental occasion because this is the first time that Riley Sager has written a male main character. But Middle of the Night follows this man, Ethan, and when Ethan was young, when he was 10 years old, him and his best friend Billy were camping out in their backyard, and when Ethan woke up, Billy was gone, and he's been gone for 30 years. And now Ethan has moved back into his childhood home because his parents are moving to Florida and they need somebody to watch the house while they're trying to figure out what to do with it. And people are starting, and there's like hints that are starting to be left about Billy's disappearance, and Ethan's like, I'm gonna figure out what happened to Billy once and for all. I liked it to a point. I do think that the ending was weak, and I guessed most of the twists. Like most of the twists, I was like, yep, that's what it is. I didn't guess the ending twist, but I didn't think the ending twist was very good. I was like, I wanted something more from it. It felt like, and it wasn't really anybody's fault. Like that was so cheap to me. That felt so cheap, and I wanted more from it. I give it 3 out of 5 stars. I think this is my least favorite Riley Sager book, which is a shame because I'm like, come on, man. Like this had such potential, but it was just, it didn't have much going on in it, you know? Then I read another manga. I read the first volume of After God by Sumi Eno, which is about a futuristic world where in Japan these gods have appeared, and I'm trying to find a good. So this is what our art style looks like. This is fairly new. The things from it came out last year. And these gods, like if you look them in the eye, like you're gone, you're done. And we meet this young woman who has something weird going on. That's not quite normal, but we can't really figure out what it is, and she's like experimental or whatever. It was fine. I don't think I'm intending on continuing on with this series. It was okay. It wasn't really anything that I was really all that into. I think that if you're really into the genre, I think this has some interesting implications. I thought the art style was really interesting. All of the like body horror aspects were pretty good. But it's just not really my thing at this point in time. So I gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars. I'm probably not going to be continuing on. All right, then I finished a TV show. I finished season 1 of Malcolm in the Middle. So I've watched this before. This was one of my big like childhood TV shows. I loved Malcolm in the Middle, man. It's so fun. It's very early 2000s. A lot of the stuff from this really kind of bled into Aughts Boys, especially the early books. But Malcolm in the Middle, if you're unaware, is a sitcom, American sitcom from, I believe, the first season came out in 2000, that follows this lower middle class family. And when I say lower middle, I mean low middle class family that has 4 boys And our main character is Malcolm, who is the middle child. And he's really, I mean, he's not like the pure middle child until later seasons when they get a fifth, because he is kid number 3 out of 4 at this point. But no, it's just very influential American sitcom of my youth, and I really enjoyed rewatching it. And then I reread my own book on my Kindle, and I reread Until I Fall Away. Speaking of the Yachts Boys, Until I Fall Away is the 5th book in the Yachts Boys series, which is my non-chronological early aughts series, following a bunch of kids and their problems, and most of the time their problem is that they're gay, and it's 2002. But Until I Fall Away is the Matt book, and so if you've Matt, for the first 5 books, Matt is the only character that appears in all of them. I guess the first 6 books. I guess honestly, Matt's the only character that appears in all the Yachts Boys books. I guess he doesn't appear in the main narrative of book 7, but up until book 7, he's in every single one. And Matt is a villain in most books. He's this big hulking guy who throws his weight around. And this follows Matt after he graduates high school and is kind of faced with the fact that he doesn't really have any options at this point. And so he just kind of starts walking. And I think at this point, the Matt book is my favorite of the Yachts Boys books. I mean, No Remorse is so recent, like I just put that one out, that I can't really speak on that one at this point, but I think the Matt book is my favorite. It is one where I would say you have to read the whole series before you read the Matt book. For a lot of the books, like Right or Wrong, or Horror, Kim News, or One More Sad Song, you read the first 3 books in whatever order you want. But for them to really understand the Matt book and really understand Matt as a character, you got to read the first 4. But that's that. I give it 5 out of 5 stars. It's my own book. I do what I want. And then the last book I read last week was The Yearbook by Peter Larangis, which is one of those like point horror. It's not, I guess, technically point horror. It's scholastic YA thriller about teen 90s teen horror novel. And this is about this school where the yearbook, something goes really weird with the yearbook. And there are like prophecies of death under some students' painting, like yearbook portraits, and then they find out that they're gonna die. And the concept was really fun. The execution was batshit off the wall insane, and I don't think I liked it very much. Like, it tried to go a little bit esoteric in a way that I wasn't really a big fan of. I gave it 2 out of 5 stars. I was expecting more, honestly. I was expecting more. So there's that. These are what I read and watched last week. So obviously we are keeping my DVDs. I keep my DVDs, and I would keep these 2 anyway, but I keep my DVDs until I can do like a big unhaul. I'm gonna get rid of Red Queen. I'm keeping Future Diary. I'm getting rid of Maximum Ride. I'm getting rid of Middle of the Night. I'm getting rid of After God, and I'm getting rid of the yearbook. So what I received, I actually only received 3 books this past week, and a lot of that is because I had a late package. Next week there will be more unless the packages get delayed even more. I'm sick of fucking snowstorms, but I did receive 3 books. The first one is I had a pre-order come in, and that is Sweet Obsession by Katie Robert. This is, I don't know what book this is in the series, but it's a Poseidon and Icarus retelling. Again, I've only read the first 3, but I keep pre-ordering these shits when they come out. So like, I'll have all of them, I guess. I do have all of them. I have all of them that are out right now. As well as that, I picked up The School for Invisible Boys by Sean David Hutchinson. I haven't read a Hutchinson in a while. It appears that he has migrated a bit more towards middle grade, which is interesting. It's an interesting choice, especially considering that his books were some of the books that got really kind of demonized by right-leaning school boards because they happened to portray the fact that sometimes teenagers have sex. And they didn't read the whole book. We Are the Ants got hit hard by that, and We Are the Ants is a phenomenal novel. Anyway, soapbox gone. But I'm interested to see what he does with the middle grade. We'll see. And then the last one is Evil and Me by Brahm. I forgot I wrote this in hardcover, and I was so happy when it came in hardcover. But Evil and Me is beautiful. It'll be my first book by Brahm. I'm interested because these are so pretty. Oh my god. Sorry. I'm interested. This is one that I was interested in the most because it's music heavy. But that is that. Those are what I received this week. That's not bad. That's not bad. 3 books in a week, not bad. Especially when I read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 books off my physical TBR. You know? Not bad. But that's everything. I'll talk to you later. And goodbye.